Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Dixelia López, bilingual school psychologist and evaluation specialist at PNW BOCES. Welcome to our first clinical forum this spring. I wanted to first thank you all for giving me the precious gift of your time and for all you do for our children, families, and respective clients. We wanted to start a little bit today with just telling you what the agenda is. We're going to go through welcome and introductions, norms for the afternoon, 1 minute mindfulness moment, and then we're going to talk today about uncertainty. And I know that April is Autism Awareness Month, so we're going to have some resources to share as well. Dr. Amparo Rinaldi also has a book that she generated, and she's not going to be able to be part of this recording today, but I will share that as a resource. And then we'll discuss some questions and future directions off the recording as well. So I wanted to just first tell you why we exist. The Guidance to Child Studies Center provides an array of services to ensure pathways to success for every student with a focus on improving school, community, and lifelong outcomes, specifically for students who are the most marginalized in our society, including students of color, English language learners, immigrants, refugees, and of course, students with disabilities and so forth. This is our wonderful team, and the way you can contact me, I just started a Twitter account recently, so that is my new Twitter handle, and it's the Guidance Child Studies Center is led by Dr. Andrew Eckert. So I just wanted to start with a mindfulness moment, and bear with me, I'm gonna just read you some things. So if you want to just center yourself in your position, give ourselves permission to take this moment for ourselves. We're often, as clinicians or as educators, giving a lot of ourselves to others, but not always taking the time to center ourselves and take care of our own well-being. So I want us to give ourselves permission to do that right now. So this exercise can be done standing up or sitting down, and pretty much anywhere at any time. Sit down in a position that feels good to you. Relax your shoulders. I'm gonna just be mindful of the time. We're gonna do a 1 minute meditation. Start by breathing in and out slowly. You might choose to close your eyes or not. One breath cycle should last for approximately 6 seconds. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Be mindful of your thoughts. As your thoughts drift, just acknowledge them and let them go. With no judgment. Simply let your thoughts rise and fall on their own accord. And be at one with your breath. Purposely watch your breath, focusing your sense of awareness on its pathways as it enters your body and fills you with life. Then watch with your awareness as it works its way up and out of your mouth, and its energy dissipates into the world. Thank you for that. That was awesome. That was so relaxing, even for me, in just guiding you through that. So as I mentioned, Autism Awareness Month is April. And as we know, during this pandemic, as school closures, program postponements, events, cancellations, all those things that are happening in our world today are especially that much more difficult for students who are developmentally delayed or who have other social difficulties. For all our children, really, it's a very difficult time right now, but especially for those who are so used to receiving a lot of resources that unfortunately cannot be provided at this time to the full extent. So today I wanted to talk about uncertainty. And uncertainty is one of those things that we are all feeling right now. This is actually a picture of a social worker friend of mine who started a journal. And I asked her permission to use it in this presentation because I think it's phenomenal of all the different feelings that we may be experiencing at this point in time: confusion, isolation, fear, sadness, anger, overwhelmed. And so we wanted to talk about uncertainty today, and what that means. It means not knowing the outcome of an event, being unsure and its unpredictability, and nothing explains this more than the actual pandemic that we're currently in, right? Um, So I wanted to talk about what that looks like a little bit. There's no doubt that we are in a period of uncertain times like never before. There's uncertainty around our employment, our lives, um, our loved ones, our livelihoods at times, our family's well-being, the education of our children. So there's uncertainty about a lot of things. While a certain level of uncertainty is normal under current situations, we need to be able to define it, identify its thoughts, behaviors, and actions so that we are then able to manage it in ourselves, in our families, in the families that we serve. Because once we are able to identify it, then it automatically actually loses its power. Um, so when we're not able to control the situation, it could be a quite difficult thing, right? But these are the things that conjure up uncertainty. These are the thoughts and the images and the behaviors, the emotions that we may feel uncomfortable and stressed out, the physical sensations of butterflies in the stomach or tingling hands, heartbeat starts to go up very rapidly. We might feel some heat in our skin, and some of the behaviors that may be also manifested in ourselves and others, as well as the thoughts and the images that may be conjured up. Um, and I wanted to talk about some strategies, right? Because obviously uncertainty is conjured up from situations that we can't control. What we can control is some of the strategies that we use and how we interpret the situations that we're in, regardless of what that situation is. So one of the strategies is basically just sitting with the uncertainty, believe it or not. And we are not able to control the situation. It can be helpful to develop the ability to just sit with the feeling of uncertainty. And what that does is that really focus your attention to that feeling internally and what is happening to you internally and externally. Um, and in doing that, it kind of makes you feel used to the idea of uncertainty. So rather than pushing away that feeling, you start to sort of normalize it and just examine it through your own lens with some aspect of curiosity so that it automatically loses its power over you. At first, this might be a feeling of uneasiness or discomfort, but once you have recognized that these feelings are a reaction to the uncertainty, this may in turn help you feel less distressed, actually, because you identify what those feelings are. So just noticing what those feelings are and how you're positioning yourself in the world with the uncertainty that we're in is beneficial. The next thing, and I'm sure you've heard this plenty of times, is the practice of mindfulness. So when we practice mindfulness, we are paying particular attention to the present moment. Thoughts may come and go in your head, and it is okay to be aware of these thoughts. Notice that our attention has been brought to the thoughts, and then to refocus our attention back onto the breath, for example, like we did earlier in this presentation. And just notice how easily or not it is for you to manage that shift back and forth between focusing attention and having your mind wander. Just courageously noticing that ebb and flow of your being, of your thought process, of your feelings is important. And how are you thinking about what might happen in relation to the uncertain situation? So that is also another technique, because your thoughts actually are not, are just your thoughts, right? I remember one time when I had an aha moment years and years ago, when I was like, wow, I'm thinking about all these things that may not happen. And yet I read somewhere where your thoughts are not necessarily true. Oh, what a relief that our thoughts are not necessarily true. So mindfulness kind of helps us with that, in just noticing what our thoughts are, bringing back our attention, and relaxing a bit. And relaxation techniques can often be a very helpful strategy to use when you're sitting with uncertainty. It can be helpful to identify some relaxation strategies, such as reading a book, or listening to music, taking a long bath, doing some creative drawing or painting, something that brings your focus to something to do outside of yourself, as opposed to in your head. So those are just some relaxation and some strategies for uncertainty, and some resources that I have highlighted here for us to have permission to take care of ourselves as clinicians, as parents, as educators, who are often spending so much time taking care of others. Another technique is called the Apple technique, and I just recently came across this technique. And basically, Apple is an acronym for acknowledge, pause, pull back, let go, and explore. And they go hand in hand with what I just spoke about. So acknowledge is notice and acknowledge the uncertainty as it comes to mind. Like I said, just acknowledgement of what it is that I feel. What are those external factors that are making me feel that way? And which brings me to the next one, which is just pause. So you don't react to those feelings, you just kind of breathe it in and acknowledge them. You may pull back, or just tell yourself, this is just a worry talking. Or ask yourself how beneficial it is that I'm worrying about this right now without it happening yet. Is it helpful, or is it necessary, what I'm thinking about? And again, like I just said, don't believe everything you think. That is such, if anything you take from this short webinar, is that don't believe everything you think. Thoughts are not statements of fact. Just think about what's the bigger picture. Who is healthy in your life? What are you grateful for? Let go of the thought or feeling about needing certainty. You know, I often say control is an illusion. You know, it goes hand in hand. Certainty, you have to let it go so that it doesn't, the need for certainty does not overpower you and create more anxiousness that is unnecessary. Letting go relates to the feelings that you're experiencing, knowing that they too shall pass. You might imagine the feelings of uncertainty, for example, floating away in a bubble or a cloud. And explore pretends to explore the present moment, because right now in this moment all is well. Notice your breathing, your sensations. Look around you and see what you see. I noticed that for me, one of the most grateful things that I have during this time is my little girl's laughter. She's 3 years old, and anytime she laughs, I just stop what I'm doing. I just look at her and try to enjoy that moment of that laughter, of that cheer, of that innocence within the confines of this new reality that we're in, strange reality that we're in today. So her laughter brings me calm and brings me to the present moment, no matter what is happening in my world. In terms of other strategies to support either ourselves or individuals, and these are strategies that you can link on this, is linked on this presentation, and I can share below. But basically, these are strategies that are necessary for all of us and can be used for all our students with a range of disabilities or not. Again, starting with supporting the understanding, what do the students know already about what is going on, offering opportunities for expression, creative expressions, specifically art, music, prioritizing coping and calming strategies, whether it's meditation or relaxation strategies like what we just spoke about, maintaining routines. Now, this has been quite difficult for me, even with just 1 3-year-old in the house. I try to set routines. No 2 days are the same. So at times, but you need to also forgive yourself for not being perfect every day, but just general routines. When you get up, what you do when you get up, when you have breakfast, lunch, dinner, is very helpful, not only for your well-being, but also for your children in your home. And perhaps building new routines. If it's nice out, go for a walk if you can. That sort of thing, enjoying nature, enjoying time with each other, family time, creating new traditions, foster connections from a distance. Of course, they're very helpful. I have a group of family members now that we have started a Friday night chat, Zoom session actually. We have a group chat, but Friday nights is specifically for our Zoom chats. And last Friday we had a hilarious time just being silly. There were like 15 of us cousins on that chat. So I know some people are doing Taco Tuesdays with their friends via Zoom, or things like that, celebrations that are being done through social media or other technology. So it's good to foster connections, or even if it's just a quick text with a friend you haven't touched base with in a while, to just say, hey, how are you? I'm thinking of you. Here's a hug. Goes a long way. Be aware of changing behaviors. This is specifically important. Now, the students on the autism spectrum are so used to routines, and then you have to create new routines at home, and that can be so challenging for our parents and our students. So please be aware of new behaviors, and that changing in behaviors may be a normal, typical interaction to the reactions to the circumstances that we're in. So it's important to acknowledge that as well, that these are very unusual circumstances that we're in currently. And these are just some general things that, of course, this depends on the developmental level and the cognitive level of the student that you're working in with. Excuse me. Dr. Amparo Rinaldi was not able to be part of this recording, but this is a book that she created, and this is her information, and she has years and years of experience with developmentally delayed students, working with them, and as well as she has developed a book that is based on ABA, and basically it is a functional book where you put in your students' pictures, and let's say they need to learn how to brush their teeth. So this, you capture them doing it, and you make them as part of their story. And again, I apologize that she wasn't able to be part of this recording, but She was part of the actual presentation when I first presented this. So thank you. This is her information, and you can look up her information at fellows.education. Again, I just wanted to say, and we're about to end, one of the happiest moments is when you find the courage to let go of what you can't change. And this is very telling, because one of the things that we need to focus on right now in the state of this new quote unquote normal that we're in, working remotely and trying to support our families remotely and so forth, and is that we need to focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. And the more that we're able to do that, the more at peace that we'll be at with ourselves, and the more able we'll be able to function and have a sort of centering experience for our own selves, so that we can then be able to better take care of others. I'm going to end with some things that are coming up, or have passed. Actually, these unfortunately have passed, but I think they're already pre-recorded, but you can look them up on Facebook. And I will make sure that you have, with this presentation, the actual links to these resources. You could also just take down the names of the resources and look them up yourself. One of the things that I also wanted to mention, in terms of, there's a lot of apps or meditation apps right now that are free for educators, or anyone who wants to use them, really. So the Headspace app, for example, also has a whole section, which I just found out about, in Spanish, for Spanish parents, that may be helpful. And so please look at these and see how applicable they may be for your students. Autistica and Autistic and Unapologetic, those two resources are from the UK, and they have tons and tons of resources that you can borrow from or take from to help our students.